Now here's some good news for Nigerian entrepreneurs, as the federal government has given the assurance that access to long-term loans is now a priority. Rising from the 15th session of the Honorary International Investment Council in London, government officials confirmed that a lot's being done to amend the guidelines for obtaining long-term loans. The forum also gave one of the key players in the conference, Baroness Linda Chalker, an opportunity to explain the agreement reached at the conference. Our London correspondent Doris Okenwa reports.
After 2 days of stock-taking, appraisals and proposals, the 15th Honorary International Investor Council presents its communique to the press.
We had a special session yesterday too on the importance of long-term affordable finance, because that is essential if you are going to promote competitiveness in Nigeria. The Council supported the need to ensure a holistic approach covering the entire financing value chain so that all aspects of financing, including debt finance, capital markets, as well as alternative financing like private equity and venture capital, should be available.
With unemployment rates still a major concern for the country, skills acquisition and entrepreneurship is a key solution. But access to affordable financing remains a stumbling block.
No matter how well you're equipped, no matter how brilliant you are in terms of ideas, you need money to make it happen. And you need affordable finance.
The Council also looked extensively at how to plug oil theft, corruption and bureaucracies that hinder investors, among other issues.
I also appeal to the international community to urge the international oil companies, the IOCs, to look inwards because crude oil theft is a very technical process, involves technical process, and it requires somebody who knows what to do. And of course, who are those who know what to do? There are people who have been working in the oil industry, either directly in the oil companies or as contractors to the oil companies. And we have to look at that area.
There's clearly some improvements in the registration of companies and other things, but I think the impression that many international investors have of Nigeria is improving very, very quickly.
The HRIC meets every 6 months. This council was inaugurated in 2004 by former President Olusegun Obasanjo as an advisory council to the federal government on economic growth. Doris Okenwa, Channels Television News, London.
All right, we'll take you live now to our Abuja studios. Linda Akigwe is standing by. Good to see you, Linda.
Hi, Joma. We begin today with accusations aimed at Cameroon from the federal government. Government officials are accusing Cameroon security forces of allowing extremists from Nigeria to flee across the border. The Deputy Governor of Borno State, Mr. Zana Mustafa, says Cameroonian authorities habitually refuse to either arrest or chase militants fleeing after attacks in Nigeria. At a meeting yesterday with army officials, Mr. Mustafa asked for a stronger military on the porous borders. Meanwhile, Cameroonian Governor Mr. Fonka Augustine of the far north region neighboring Nigeria has said he is puzzled by such complaints. He said Cameroon is in full collaboration with Nigeria and has stepped up cooperation since a French priest was kidnapped last week in northern Cameroon by suspected Nigerian militants and transported into Nigeria. The federal government says 11 Boko Haram insurgents have been convicted in the last 1 year. The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Mohammed Aduki, told the 12th session of the Assembly of State Parties, World Forum Theatre, that the federal government was working on a compensation and rehabilitation scheme for victims of Boko Haram attacks, in line with the recommendation of the Presidential Committee, which recently submitted its report. Mr. Adoke added that the preliminary findings by the prosecutor and the President of the International Criminal Court had galvanized support for the government's efforts to address security challenges associated with Boko Haram. As the world and economic space continues to change, Nigerians have been asked to position themselves in order to seize every opportunity that such changes present. This was the thrust of discussions at the 2013 Alumni Day of the Lagos Business School Alumni Association at the Pan Atlantic University in Lagos. The Lagos Medical
Every year, members of the Lagos Business School Alumni Association throw up a topic of national interest and impact at their Alumni Day celebrations. And this year isn't any different, as the Chief Executive Program CEP Class 20 raises the question of leadership and good governance. First, panelists at the morning session dwelt on where the nation's economy is headed ahead of the year 2014.
If we privatize power, if we sell the governments and create a private sector and we improve infrastructure, then we can start industrializing again.
Mr. Shemi Adetu of Guinness and Diageo Nigeria shared his personal experience as he defended good leadership as a catalyst for corporate excellence.
I see people that go to it's difficult. I have faced that challenge. Because at times you just get to solve the problem, you just not because you have power, you just because something to check out and want to show how powerful.
Inspirational speaker and chairman Lift International, Mr. Brian May from the United Kingdom, after teaching his goal mapping techniques, says Nigerians need to be positive thinkers.
I know there are many things here in Nigeria that are not yet right. If you stare at them, you will steer at them, and they will drive you off your energy. Let us be aware of them. And let us set our goals and our focus around the things that are right, the things that are improving. And in that way we find the courage and the cooperation and the care to improve things for everyone.
Going forward, the challenge for these homebred executives will be to put the knowledge acquired from their training to use for overall national transformation. Henry Obujimi, reporting for Channels Television News.
The Lagos Medical Guild has said that its new executives will ensure public hospitals remain open for services as long as the government continues to talk with it. Speaking at a press conference in Lagos, the newly elected chairman says every patient deserves unhindered and qualitative medical attention above other demands. Loretta Chiogo reports.
Health, they say, is wealth. But when that is tempered with, especially when frictions hold sway between the doctors and the government of the day, then health becomes a jeopardy. Patients are helpless in the face of high bills from private hospitals. Dr. B. Kufo, the newly elected chairman of the Medical Guild in Lagos, though wishes a smooth tenure devoid of rancor between the Lagos State doctors and the government, says issues can be thrashed without causing grievous pain to the patients.
The aim of the doctor is to work in a rancor-free, healthy working environment and to take home a good living wage. With care of the patient as the centerpiece of that objective, the aim of the government is to deliver its healthcare goals in an environment that is free of rancor as much as possible. I believe that is totally free of rancor. And our executive has sat down and we have discussed this, and we believe that this is achievable, and we will discuss that with government.
In the 2014 budget presentation of the state, allocation to the health sector is yet to reach the benchmark of 15% required by the World Health Organization. And this, for the outgone chairman, is still a cause for worry.
The state government should strive towards 15%. Like I said, whatsoever facilities you put on ground, whatsoever infrastructure you put on ground, whatsoever security arrangement that is on ground, it is to serve the living person. Security and improvement in road networks, water systems are not for dead people. So to stay alive is a priority. I know it may be challenging because of the myriads of demands, but again, government needs to set its priority and a little bit more bias to life. I think the value we put on life will determine where we put our resources.
Though the Lagos State government in its 2014 budget analysis for the health sector is focusing on upgrading facilities and revitalizing primary health care, It is hoped that the tenure of these executives will give a breather to strikes. Loretta Chiogo, Channels Television News.
And that's all we have for you from our nation's capital. Back to you, Ijoma.
Thanks a lot for that, Linda.